normally?
Man, what's up? What's happening, everybody? You already know who it is and what it is. Your boy Nephew Q, aka Q Walker. And if it's your first time tuning in, this is He Said, She Said. And to my bottom down there, we got the esteemed, beautiful, curly hair popping right now, Christina, aka Chrissy J. Go introduce yourself for the people one time.
What's going on, y'all? You can call me Chrissy J. You can call me hella fine. You know, whatever's on your mind. Bars.
Is that how we feeling today?
Not for real, but you know, when you feeling down, I gotta be my own hype man.
Okay.
My own shit up.
No, me and Jarvis, we got you. Don't worry about the hype man. Me and Jarvis, we got you. We're gonna set you up.
I encourage my own self.
And then
you know we got the immaculate.
There you go.
Blasian, half green and half black. Because he's Asian. My dude. Use right hand. Does a little bit of everything. This, that, and the third. Go ahead, JT. Introduce yourself.
What's happening, guys? Jarvis, JT, at What a Sight to See. Catch me on that IG. Out here with bars like Chrissy.
So everybody got bars except for me today. Is that what we're doing?
Yeah, you ain't got the bars, man.
I ain't got the bars.
That's man. When you can't have everything.
You're right. You're right. Y'all got the bars, but man, we got an exciting show for the people tuned in. Man, like the caption says, Kentucky School is back in session. It started this week with kindergarten through second grade, starting off on Monday. The great thing about today's show is we do have an educator on the show, being Jarvis, and I have kids that are going back to school as well. Chrissy J, she can speak from the format of having all of her kids out of school right now.
I was going to say, wait a minute, what do I got?
So, but before we get today's show started off, we want to hit y'all with a little Black History fact. Chrissy J, go on, let him know what's up.
Oh, hold on, y'all. I got my glasses on.
You put your glasses on, baby.
Okay. All jokes aside. So, in 1969, Madeline Anderson became the first Black woman filmmaker in the United States to produce and direct a televised documentary film titled I Am Somebody. So if you haven't checked it out, guys, check it out. I haven't looked at it myself, but hello?
Yeah, go ahead. Now you had
the floor. I had the floor. I thought I was by myself.
Nah, you had the floor all to yourself. All to yourself.
But yeah, it's called I Am Somebody. Actually, my daughter put me on to that. I haven't watched it, but I am gonna watch it. And y'all watch it. Let me know what y'all think.
Hey, there it is, a little Black History fact. But yeah, let's get back on into the show, man, because we got a lot to get into. First things first, Jarvis, man. How do you feel about the schools reopening? And parents who are watching, please tune in and tell us your thoughts about how y'all feel about Kentucky schools opening back up. Only 6 out of the 171 school districts have not reopened, which includes Jefferson County, and which is the largest district. And they said the reason why that is because it's going to take a little bit more planning for that to happen. But Jarvis, how do you feel about the schools reopening, man?
See, man, I'm like twofold on it all, man, because I am an educator, so I'm a teacher, and you know, for me, like I really miss our students, so I really. You know, with this week being in school, since I do teach in the elementary school, it's been really good to have students back in school and just to kind of see their faces and, you know, because the students are a pick-me-up for me, you know. But I do understand all the concerns and stuff. And I do believe that if you do have a family member or if your child is someone who is, you know, immune compromised, I do understand, you know, why you wouldn't want your child to go to school. And just the simple fact that we are in a pandemic, you know what I'm saying? The pandemic alone is something that I feel like, you know, warrants, you know, something like this. You know what I'm saying? This isn't something that comes around every so often. I think the last one was a little over 100 years ago, right? 1919 or something like that.
Okay.
Yeah, man, I'm a little biased towards wanting the kids back, but I also understand all of it as well. I definitely, you know, the thought of me catching the coronavirus and possibly being one of the ones that would get, gravely ill or gravely sick, and I can't dumb down the effects of what the virus has done to so many families out here. So, but I will say, as of right now, I am very, very excited to be back in the school building and have the kids in there. So,
I'm kind of torn on it, man. And this is where I need you to help educate me a little bit on it all. Is it mandatory for all educators to get vaccinated? Because I know that some of the stipulations, for people who don't know, some of the stipulations to go back to school, let me pull this up real quick, is that students and staff must wear masks at all times, even on school buses and hallways. Classrooms and cafeterias should be less densely packed with desks separated by 6 feet or reasonable distance. To prevent overcrowding in hallways, schools should avoid having students switching classes all at once or eating lunch at the same time. And schools with buildings that have poor ventilation should be evaluated before in-person instruction resumes. So as a parent, how can the educators make me feel comfortable in knowing that y'all are doing the best and doing exactly what you're supposed to be doing to ensure the safety of my child?
Yeah. So for me, just looking at it, and I can't speak for every school, right? I can only speak for the school that I work at. So, yeah. I'll try to generalize it more so because I'm hoping that the rest of the district is following some of the same protocol. But for the school that I work at, I feel like, my administration has done a fantastic job of, not just thinking about the students, but the employees as well. So all staff, but in the school that I work in, and I'm hoping that it's everywhere else, right? Temperatures will be taken and are being taken before students enter the building, right? So the process is going to take a little longer. It's going to be a little bit of a learning curve right now, but hopefully for the most part, things run smooth. But our custodial staff has been absolutely fantastic at sanitizing, going back behind and cleaning. So whenever we have classrooms that may take a bathroom break, right? Immediately after that round of bathroom breaks, our custodians are going there and cleaning, man. I can't say enough for our custodial staff, man. They have been absolutely fantastic as far as keeping everything sanitary and things like that. And I think, the fact that the admin at my school has been they've been very supportive just overall, right? So if a teacher feels like, or if a teacher is immune compromised or feels as if they don't feel as safe, there was avenues to maybe teach virtually or some other options as well. So, like I said, Q, I can't speak for the school that your kids go to, but I know that if your kids went to my school, I would say that you'd be okay.
I'm sending them over to you. Dayton Gordon, he says, depends on your district whether or not it's mandatory to get vaccinated. Here in Jefferson County Public Schools, it's not required yet. We're going to be starting back in March.
I didn't know that. I didn't know JCPS was starting back in March. But yeah, I mean, it's the same in Fayette County too. It's not mandatory.
Okay,
it's strongly encouraged, but it's not mandatory. But that is interesting. I thought Jefferson County was going to be out the entire year.
And then Isaiah Ike Barron, he said they should have waited until next school year so more people can get vaccinated first. I had COVID and it was horrible. I'm scared to death for these kids, teachers, and other staff. Tina, do you think they should have just waited until the school year in August before they try to, issue kids back into school?
So because I don't have school age kids anymore, I'm a little bit different when it comes to this. But from the people that I've spoken to that do have school age kids, they're saying they should have just waited. They was like, it's only a couple months left. Why are they sending them back now? Now, on the other hand, I hate to say this because I don't want to make it a race thing, but I'm saying so I work with a certain group of people at one job. And so most of the white people that I work with say the kids need to go back. They should have been back It's ridiculous that they're out. I mean, they've went so far as to make comments that the teachers are lazy and getting paid for doing nothing, blah, blah, blah. And they're mad because they feel like their kids aren't learning, right? Mm-hmm. Then on the other hand, the Black parents that, that I've come in contact with, even at work, have said, listen, we only got a couple months left of school. They should have just waited. And kind of like what Ike said, that wait to see who all's going to get vaccinated to kind of keep it down some. So I see what Jarvis is saying in the sense of, he missed the kids and, trying to get a sense of normalcy. But I don't think that our numbers are down enough to be sending these kids back to school. And on top of that, it's just, how many kids do y'all have per
classroom
right now, Jarvis?
I don't know like the average of like every class, but I know we do have a good portion of students that stay virtual. So, I mean, if I had to guess, our classes probably range now between like, I would say about 14 and 20 ish, which is typically, what I'm saying, our school is usually pretty crowded. So typically you might have some classes that have anywhere between like 21 and 25, 26 students. So,
and that's a lot. And if I had the option, like my cousin, they've opted out and they've decided to keep their daughter home, to do it virtually. For now, I haven't seen my little cousins in over a year in person. We FaceTime and stuff. But right now, it's just a lot of the unknown.
Yeah. I'm gonna be honest with you. If I didn't work in the school system and did not know and did not see what was going on in my school, because between us, we struggled on whether, letting the kids go back. So, I don't have my eyes on what my son's school is doing. And, he kind of preferred to stay virtual. So he's going to stay virtual. However, my little girl, she's coming to the school that I work at. So
she's there with you.
Yeah. And I feel comfortable because I know the things that we're doing in the school. So,
I think it's a catch-22 because, hold on, y'all. Sorry. Lena. And no.
So go ahead, Tina. At the catch-22. Go ahead.
One of my best friends, she teaches school, right? And my thing is, especially when you have all of these young kids, it's already hard before COVID was in to kind of keep these kids from touching each other. And, so how you think you're going to deal with that during COVID and make sure they keep their mask on, don't touch each other, move here, move there? A lady I was talking to at work today was just like, her kids are back, but they're like, they hate it because they can't eat lunch with their friends. They can't go up to them. Like, it's so many rules. They wish that they would have just decided to stay home. But I think once you make the decision to go, you can't take it back, right? That's what they said. If you make you can't. That's what I heard anyway.
I don't want to technically put anyone out there, but I don't think that's the rule. But I mean, the good thing is, right, is the district is giving everybody a choice. So, you could choose to stay virtual, you could choose to go back. Yeah, but I feel it like, pretty much all the way around, right? So I kind of understand that part of it too, kind of like why go back with only 2 months or something like that, you know what I'm saying? But there's so much more behind the scenes that, some of these parents in these Facebook groups, right, which is people in general, they don't even know, like, there's so much more that goes into it, right? Mm-hmm. And like I was telling somebody, like, you cannot be so selfish to the point where to where you don't think about nobody else. But I get it, right? As a parent, all we think about is what's best for my child. We're not thinking like these kids need to go back in school because I want all 20 of Johnny's friends and Johnny to be learning. Mm-hmm. All they thinking is, we need to go back in school because I need Johnny to get in there and learn, right? So all they thinking is they kid, which is normal, right? Like, Q, you thinking about your kids. You're not, in the back of your mind, you're not really thinking about the other kids. Your kids are at the forefront of your mind.
Yeah.
And, that's what it is. So, but there's so much more. So the reason why, kind of it's been staggered for us to go back in is because there's been a shortage of food service workers, a shortage of bus drivers, just a shortage of staff in general, right? Subs and stuff like that. So for instance, let's say a teacher tests positive,
Mhm.
Or let's just say a teacher wants a mental health day and take a break.
Mhm.
Like a lot of schools are struggling to even get subs that are wanting to come in.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the part, like, people don't see there's so much more to the logistics, and then you got to think the whole bus situation, right? So we needed more buses, more bus drivers to really keep the kids socially distanced on the bus.
Mhm.
But we're not even thinking, like, the whole situation with the bus garage when we did go out when the pandemic first started, and I don't know all the ins and outs of the details of that, but from what I do remember hearing is there was a lot of bus drivers and monitors who was delivering the food that ended up catching COVID, and some of them, and some of them gravely caught it, right? Like, I think, I don't want to throw no false numbers out there, but from what I heard, there was a couple people that may have died and passed away from contracting COVID.
No, it's true.
Okay.
So so speaking on that,
Hold that thought, Tina. Hold that thought. I want to get to some of these questions they got for y'all. This one will pertain to you, Jarvis. Ike wants to know what happens if a kid catches COVID. Does the whole class have to quarantine?
Yeah. So, like in my school, right, we have these little QR codes. So the QR codes are on every door. All staff members have to like scan that QR code if they go into any other classroom or any other part of the building, right? So that kind of like is the contact tracing part of it, right? So we know who's been where, who's been here, who's been there. We have it to where most of our students are not going in any other classrooms. All their humanities or specials, as some schools call it, they come into the classroom. So essentially, the only couple of places that students are going outside of their own classroom is to the cafeteria. Scan the code all day long. Absolutely. So the cafeteria or to the bathroom, really. I mean, that's about it. And
why aren't y'all just eating in the classrooms?
Huh?
Why aren't y'all just eating in the classrooms?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think, I'm not even 100% sure. Now I know as far as that was in consideration, I believe, a long time ago. But what they actually did, since we're not having humanities anymore, they turned our gym into a second cafeteria to be able to space the kids out some more.
Yeah.
So
I seen that in Paris too.
Yeah. So I mean, there's so much logistics that go behind it. Like I said, but it's if someone in a classroom does contract it, I believe they make the whole class, including the teacher, quarantine and go to virtual learning. So I don't think they just out of school just period, but they'll go to virtual learning. And I'm not sure if that specific teacher goes to virtual learning or if they go to the designated teacher that's for that grade for virtual learning that's currently designated for that grade. So, and that might be school specific too. So,
and you had alluded to the bus drivers and bus monitors. Todd here, he says bus drivers already having to quarantine. Kid tested positive on Monday, so a few drivers and monitors out already at my garage. Todd, man, keep commenting because I would really be interested to know how bus drivers and monitors are doing with all of the kids coming back as well. One more comment real quick. This is from Twan Watkins. He says, I agree from a teacher's perspective. We are already in a rhythm and have our process in place. To stage a new format of instruction for only a couple months seems counterproductive. And that goes back to Chrissy J's point about, why not just wait until the following school year. Let's get to some of these. Go ahead, Tina.
Well, what I was going to say is, if you guys notice, at least when I was in school, 90% of the bus monitors and the cafeteria workers are elderly people. They're older people. So it's going to be hard to get them in there because they're scared. I mean, my dad is 65 and he just had the vaccination, and even with that, he's still scared just because, you don't know what can come from that. I mean, you don't know what these kids, you don't know where these kids been at, where their parents been at. You don't know the situation. And if you get it, then how much do they scan the QR codes on the bus too?
Yeah. Yeah.
Charlie, what's for you?
Yeah. I'm not sure if they scan the QR codes on the kids don't scan it on the bus at all. Like I know that because we put the kids on the bus. But they are required to kind of like socially distance on the bus or whatnot. But like I said, I mean, it's such a tricky dynamic because, you know, like everybody has an opinion about something, right? So like I've even heard people have an opinion on why there's no bus drivers and subs and stuff like that. People, you know, there's some people who say, well, they don't have bus drivers and subs because those people feel like they're making more money on unemployment or whatever. Right. And I mean, it may be the case. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? I don't know anybody that's personally in that situation. You know, but initially, I will say this, right? I think it's inevitable or whatever to almost say, right? Kids will learn better in person, right? Sure. Like I think the structure of it, and just how everything is, kids will learn better in person. And I don't think that that's a lack of teachers' instruction, but it's the lack of accountability. It could be some of the lack of accountability at home too, right? Because you know, if you're a teacher or an educator, we've all seen kids, you know, laying down, you know, kids eating a bowl of cereal all day long or whatever it may be. So, because I work with some incredible educators. I do. I work with some incredible educators. I see them every single day doing what they do, even on Zoom, right? These are incredible educators. But at the same time, it's a lot easier to manage a classroom and to be able to get them to actively participate, as opposed to just being on Zoom in the classroom. So that I think is a given, but I do see everyone's perspective though. We have 2 months left. We've been doing this for this. Yeah. You know,
what's the point?
Yeah, I mean, for me, I'm like I said, I'm kind of torn. I kind of agree with that, but it's been so refreshing this past week to have the kids back in school as well. You know what I'm saying? But I get it.
Go ahead, Tina.
No, I'm saying I get it. It's refreshing. Hell, when TJ Maxx opened up, you thought it was it just felt good. You know, I couldn't wait to sit down and they say, "Can I have your what would you like to drink? Can I have your drink order?" Like, so yeah. I get it. You know, you doing what you love to do.
Yeah.
But for me, like we said, it's just like I don't think that these 2 months, you know, are worth it. And me personally, I don't think that they're thinking about the educators when it comes to health when they do this. It's just like, okay, well, put them out there. You know, dudes, even with some of the parents that I've talked to, you know, when I hear them bashing the teachers, it pisses me off, you know, and that's because I have friends like you and, you know, my best friend. And I mean, I ain't even gonna say where she's at or whatever, but I remember, you know, they told her they're doing virtual learning, right? Please real quick. They're doing virtual learning, but then they told them they have to go to the school, right?
Yeah.
So this is before in-school person. So she took her kids with her. You know what happened? Parents got mad. That ain't fair. How come she gets free babysitter? Because I'm here teaching your kids. Like, why are you mad? You know what I mean? Like, parents are just mad. Like, I don't understand. Like, you damned if you do, damned if you don't. Yeah. At the end of the day, when it comes to this, it's not just about the educators. It's we as parents have got to step up. And if they don't have that structure, then that's when we got to put in that extra effort to say, hey, you're not there for structure. Let me make sure that you have X, Y, Z done. And maybe not get on Facebook, and maybe not watch our show that we want to watch. Maybe not, you know, do that extra little whatever we want to do and take the time out and say, hey, I know you're not getting the structure like you used to. So now it's time for me to step up as not just a parent, but to educate you myself. And which I think that should be going along anyway, even without this. You know, we can't just leave it up to the teachers to teach our children. Because at the end of the day, they ain't always been taught, you know.
Yeah.
We have to do our part as well.
Yeah. I see so you got Deshaun, he's made his comment, and then can you put Todd's last comment back up?
Yeah, I was waiting for Tina. You talking about it's hectic? Is that the comment you're referring to?
Maybe the one right before that.
I seen it talking about them kids being sick, how they send them to school.
Are you talking about that comment, the kids being sick comment?
Nah, maybe the next one then.
Okay, hold on. Let me get to it. So this is one of Todd's comments. He said it's hectic as far as, I guess he's a bus driver. He said my day is over 70. Half the kids barely know their names. So trying to get them to repeat their names to keep up with Contract tracing, it's tough trying to get their temps taken. Write down the seat number and everything. Can't socially distance on the bus with only 26 seats and 40 students like it will be next week. He continues on to say, we don't have the drivers and subs and monitors because when they match to Frankfurt, they are marching for teachers. March. When they had the sick outs, we got penalized for it because we weren't included as teachers and staff, where I looked at as second class. Are any of those two comments the ones you're talking about? Or are you talking about the Sniffles comment?
It might have been the Sniffles one.
About the Sniffles comment.
Yeah,
All right,
it might have been the Sniffles.
Sniffles comment. Real quick. Man. Okay, here it is. Todd's on the road today. It's topic must be his thing. He said parents send their kids to school with the sniffles and throwing up all the time. As long as they can walk to the bus stop, they're gonna send them and we're gonna take them. Fever, no mask, whatever. We can't turn them away. We got to transport them to school, and then the school got to send them home. Is that what you were talking about, Jarvis?
Yeah. So that's a real interesting one, because even like not in the pandemic, right? Like Todd's right, and I hate to kind of play like devil's advocate with everything, right? I kind of hate to like be on like both sides of the fence on it, but on one hand, right? Like I can't really, because we have had times where, and I'm pretty sure in every school, right? A kid come to school, the temperature might read fine. By the time lunch comes around, he's in the nurse's office with 101 temperature, right? Mm-hmm. So, okay, were you feeling bad? Yeah, I was feeling a little bad, but mommy gave me some medicine this morning. So he got a fever reducer, right? Whether it be ibuprofen, Tylenol, whatever it is.
Hello?
I think Jarvis dropped out on us. He started preaching. Okay, there you are. You back?
Okay. So on one hand, right, you have the parents who, will send a kid to school. By lunchtime, he's got 101 fever. He was fine in the morning, but then, he goes to the nurse's office. You ask him like, "Hey, what's been going on with you? Were you feeling bad this morning?" "Yeah, I was feeling bad, but mom and dad gave me some medicine." Right? So he got a fever reducer. So parents knew he was sick, but
and gave him something. Yeah.
On one hand, I'm like, okay, like I'm putting myself in the parent's shoe, right? Because I don't know if that parent has one more occurrence left at work and can't call into work no more, right? So I'm like, okay. And the parents just thinking to themselves, like, I got to keep this job, and I'd rather them be at school learning. The bigger picture, like I said, ain't nobody worried about anybody else's kid. But if this kid comes to school with the flu or the coronavirus and gives it to 20 other kids who then go home and now they're around their parents or their grandparents, like it's a trickle down effect that a lot of people don't even think about. So that whole thing is just crazy in general. And then the other comment that Deshaun had, I think the comment that Deshaun had, and man, I be trying my hardest to not pass judgment on people, man. But sometimes, this is a reality, right? So some parents are just like, you know what, like, yeah, they need to go to school, they need to get up out of my face. But I think it's all about perspective, because I've heard some parents tell me like, bro, this has been the best time of my life. I've been able to spend these quality times with my kids and also helping them and teaching them, at the same time. Then I've heard some kids like, man, I'm sick of having these kids in the house. They got to go. And you know what I'm saying? So I think it's all about perspective, man, and how we feed into that and who we are as parents. Like Chrissy said, like that matters, right? Mm-hmm. So if my son is sitting here asleep through his Zoom and I'm either not watching him or I'm allowing him to do it, surely I can't expect him to be learning nothing and put that blame on the teacher, right?
Yeah.
I got to take some accountability as a parent. So, it's all the,
And so let me get Deshaun's comment up here that Jarvis is alluding to. Deshaun, he says a lot of the pressure to go back comes down to the fact that even though we know in person is more beneficial and better for a lot of students, that's not the real motivation. The real motivation is that many parents still see teachers as babysitters, although they won't publicly admit it.
Man, that when I heard rubs a lot of parents wrong in that little group on Facebook, that Let Them Learn group. Because I heard there's some people in there like, you know, that kind of combat that all the time. And man, I heard that one sets it off every time.
And then Chris DJ Day said the parents got to learn new materials as well while helping their children, which is also true. Man, please, people, keep giving us feedback and letting us know if you're in the school system or if you know you have a parent going back to school. Please comment, let us know how you feel about in school going back. Let me ask you this, Jarvis. You had danced around it a little bit, but you really didn't get into it. So for the people who are watching, explain what the protocols are for educators as far as going back to school.
So as far as educators, right, there was, well, and like I said, I don't want to speak for all schools. I just know my school, but I know that we were given an option as to one, taking the vaccine or not, right? So we kind of got priority over taking the vaccine, based on how the vaccine distribution was within the state of Kentucky. It may be different in other states or whatever, but in Kentucky, we kind of got like a higher priority. My administration sent out an email and let us know that, hey, if there for some reason is a reason that you feel like you fit in this criteria that the district has placed as putting you as somebody who is at risk. So I think, and I don't know all of them off the top of my head, but I know some of them were like immune, being immune compromised, obesity, and a few other things, right? That you could fill out this, and this. And I'm sure you had to get like doctor documentation, medical documentation and everything. And then there was options as far as, you possibly being the virtual teacher for the school year, or I believe there was something where you could not work and maybe still get paid. I'm not sure. Kind of like a long term.
Dropped off again. But as a dope picture.
Am I back?
Yeah.
Yeah, you back. Yeah.
Okay. So it was maybe something like a kind of like a long term disability, right, where you can still get paid or whatever. But I feel Isaiah with what he's saying. But yeah, just the protocols as far as for us coming into school, right? And I think now it's even more, right? I knew once we had to roll out of the vaccination for the school employees, I knew then it was going to be a thing where it was like, it was almost inevitable, because parents were just going to say, oh, well, why can't they go back into school if they vaccinated now, right? And they had the choice to. So I knew that was going to kind of happen, which it didn't really bother me none. But, regardless of how it was going to go down, I was going to try to be as safe as possible. I don't think, I didn't fit any of the categories to not, to have a waiver or whatever it was. But yeah, I'm kind of like Isaiah too. Like I said, I completely understand that. And if they would have either way they would have went, I wouldn't have been upset at all. So if we just waited, I wouldn't have been upset.
So with the kids going back to school, let me read this off real quick. Like I mentioned earlier, K through kindergarten started this Monday. 3rd grade through 5th grade starts March the 3rd. Grade 6, 9, and 12th starts back on March the 8th. And grade 7, 8, 10th, and 11th start back on March the 15th. And so let me ask you this, Jarvis, and please, any parents watching right now, if you decided to take the option of not sending your kid back to school, please let us know in the comments your reasoning why behind you decided to do that as well. So please, we'd like the comments, so keep them coming. Jarvis, man, do you think the schools reopening will help the kids' social and emotional development?
I think it will.
She said no.
Yeah, I think it will to an extent. Now, this is what I will say to any parent that's actually watching. It's still not the same as coming back to school in normal situations, right? Because of the protocols.
They're mad.
Yeah. You have situations where the kids can be social, but only to a certain extent, right? In most cases, I'd be surprised if the kids even know what each other look like outside of, having already seen them on Zoom. So yes, you're able to be around other kids. Yes, you're kind of able to be like a little more social, but it's still not the same, which is kind of scary because you be thinking to yourself, like, is like, how long is this going to be the norm?
Yeah. Listen, it's a bad analogy, but it's like going to see somebody in jail having to look through the glass window.
Yeah.
You're happy you can see them, but you can't really feel or touch them. It's kind of like, damn, like it's a teaser.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, actually,
Jarvis, man, what's the temperature been like of the educators? It was actually a two-part question. How's the first week back been, and what's the temperature of the educators during this first week?
Yeah. So for my school and probably most of the district, we didn't really get a lot of like a practice run. One, because like what bad weather hit.
Yeah.
So when we did plan on having practice runs and stuff, our school building was shut down because of the ice and snowstorm that came. But the first week back has been pretty interesting. I'll say more so. It's been it feels like it's a learning curve all over again, right? Like arrival, dismissal, like there's so many things. And then it's just, the constant, telling the kid to pull their mask up, or, kids will wear the mask like this when they have to wear it like this, or, and every school may be different, but typically, my school is trying not to just let kids, how typically you would just say, hey, I need to use the bathroom. Okay, take the pass, go use the bathroom, come back, right? We're trying to limit that because, some kids wander a little more than, normal. So we're trying to limit that. And like I said, generally, anytime after a student or students go into the restroom, our custodial staff will go in and spray it and clean it. So, I mean, it's been, like I said, man, it's been refreshing to see some of the kids, to see some of their personality and stuff like that, and actually have that interaction, with the kids and my work peers. But it's not the same. It's really not the same. It's not going to be the same until all this is done. So,
yeah, which I hope is soon. Chrissy, let me ask you: do you think that children are mentally prepared for the schools to reopen?
No. And I say that just from speaking to parents in the sense that they were, and this is not even just like younger kids. These are high school kids that are already gone back, I guess, in certain areas or whatever. They're like, I'm here, but I can't even, it's no fun. It's terrible. I'd rather just be at home. Like, it's a chore for me to have to be here because there's so many restrictions, so many rules for them. They said they would have rather stayed home, but that's where I got the whole thing of, they said once you make the decision to go back, that you can't change it, because she said that they told them, and that was they're in, I want to say Scott County, but that's what she was saying is that, once they say, yeah, we're going to go school, we can't, but she said they hate it. She's like, they're miserable and they just much rather be at home. If I got to do this, I'd rather be at home learning on Zoom.
Yeah, that might just be specifically a district thing, but I don't know who your people's is, but I'm pretty sure if they made us think about it to the district, I'm pretty sure the district bend a little bit on that. But
it ain't my people's, just somebody I work with. But I just
okay, yeah,
that they felt like it. But then the younger kids, like, think about it, it's been so long, so it's like you're asking them to get reacclimated to something, and that they've not done in this whole time. And so by the time you guys get reacclimated, school's gonna be out.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess the only positives, and I'm not gonna say only, but what I feel like if they can have school, then they should be able to have a real graduation.
Yeah.
Kids should be able to go to their proms. I mean, they're going to end school, right? So maybe that's a brighter side for some of the high school kids that, didn't get to walk in graduation and didn't get to go to prom. I mean, those are big moments for, us when we're coming out of high school.
Yeah.
That a lot of people missed last year.
So. Look, but here's the flip side of the whole thing. and I'll touch on Twan's comment. Yeah, some of our students still have to do that too, Twan. And the dynamics of that is just crazy in itself, right? Some kids are still in person, but will have to zoom in somewhere just so that they're not going into another classroom. So the dynamics of that is very interesting. I feel like as educators, we're doing the best we can. But that was just to kind of touch on that a little bit, Twan. But the flip side of all that is I have seen some kids thrive in this situation because they're more introverted, right? As opposed to being at school where being around a lot of other kids, being around a lot of other students, and just, situations in general have made them, because they're an introvert, they want to like tuck in a shell, right? And hide, and in some cases with some students, when that happens, that's when behavior will come out because they're trying to escape from something, right? To be removed from a situation. But on the flip side, I've seen where those type of kids are thriving in this situation because they don't have constant eyes on me all the time. If they need to turn their screen off, it's easy for them to do that. So, would it be fair for a group of those parents to yell to the other parents like, no, keep it virtual because my student learns best in this environment, right? And that's where, what I'm saying, I think everyone, it's hard to ask everyone to be considerate and have empathy towards everyone's situation because they're obviously not. They're only worried about their child. But that's something seriously to consider, as an education system in a whole now. And I know there are some, I believe, some places in the country, I think they do have virtual options regardless. But is this something moving forward that we're going to start seeing more and more of, where parents are going to be pushing for there to be a virtual option just regardless, to just go straight online? I could see it actually happening. One, just to kind of create the dynamic and have it set up. The only part is because I think most of those are kind of like independent and not within a school district or from the state, you know what I'm saying? But I think there's going to be a big push for that, where they're going to have, hey, we need to hire teachers for virtual, lessons and, moving forward. So we'll see how that all shapes out.
That's going to be hard. I think that students need that social interaction. Not saying that being homeschooled is a bad thing. I have a couple of friends that homeschool their kids, and it's amazing, and their kids thrive and they love it. But I guess sometimes you can't miss what you don't have.
Yeah.
And I know a couple kids that their mom homeschooled them, and when I say they were out of touch with reality, like real live, like no dead ass, like 17, and was just like had the mind of a 12-year-old just because they hadn't had that social interaction with other people. So when they would come around other people like that, it would be weird, and not really being able to cultivate friendships and understand certain things. So I don't know. That would be an interesting situation if parents push for that, and then they had a group of people that said, "Okay, we'll just do virtual learning."
So let me get to I hope I don't mess her name up. So Raya Moberly's comment. She said, if numerous family members have or had COVID-19, I wouldn't send my children to school. So far, only one of my family members had COVID-19, and that was because she is in the Navy and couldn't quarantine on the ship until they found land. Jarvis, is it a requirement for the kids who are coming back that the teachers must fill out information if anybody in their family has had COVID-19, and how many family members, if so?
Nah, I don't believe so. But I mean, man, you'd be surprised how many people are probably hiding that.
Yeah.
I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like, but you know what? But you know what's so crazy is it's not hard to get the information because and parents do realize this. They just probably are kind of oblivious to what goes on at school. But man, them kids come and have no filter. They will tell, and they not trying to rat nobody out. They're not trying to rat their parents out. But, I've seen situations where, we be on Zoom and kids will be in the chat just going off like, oh yeah, I had COVID and, yeah, my parents and, but they don't have that filter to where they know like, okay, yeah, maybe I shouldn't be talking about this in the chat with 20 of my other friends and my teacher. You know what I'm saying? They don't have that filter. But like, parents don't really realize it.
Some of these parents are one day away from losing their job.
Absolutely.
Like we said, it's not right that you send your kids, but they probably like, man, they got a little cold, they got a little fever. I'm gonna send them to school because this is, if I get it, I'm gonna get fired, and that's gonna affect. They could be single parents, and but nobody else cares about that because they're like, well, now you're gonna make my kids sick, whatever. But it's like, it's situational. Like, what do you do when you're in a situation like that? It's almost like your hands are tied.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, babysitter or not, if that's the way it's said, not saying that they don't appreciate you guys as educators too, but a lot of people get their jobs based off of daytime hours because this is when my kids are in school. This is when I work. So they're there and I'm booped. So think about it, when COVID hit, these jobs had to let these people that wasn't shut down off because there was nobody there to watch their young kids, especially when you got, 4, 5, 6-year-olds or, a little bit older than that. What are you going to do?
Yeah. So let me get to Miss, I hope I don't mess her name up, Tanisha Harris. She, as far as like kids being mentally prepared to get back to school, she said, yes, kids adapt well, especially the young ones. My daughter comes home excited every day. And then let's see, Chris DJ Day. He said it can go both ways. Some parents are ready for their kids to go back to school because they struggle online, but then there's a lot of students who don't even log in because their parents are working, so they think they can slack off. So,
very true. Very true.
Do you think that it's made some of the parents appreciate teachers more? Because I know a lot of times they say, oh, y'all ain't doing nothing and whatever. But now that you have to take that role reversal and actually make sure they doing their work, and you look at some of the work. I mean, my cousin said he didn't look at his daughter's work. Like, what the hell is this? Like, what? Because things have changed in school. He said, man, I had to like really Google and look some of the stuff up because I didn't understand like what they were doing, what's going on. So, I mean, do you feel like that they've respected you more as a teacher that way?
I think a lot of them initially kind of had that respect, like, man, you guys, you really do a lot. But then it got to the point where when school wasn't going back in, right? Because just like everything else, everybody looks to point the finger at somebody, right? So, like, I think eventually it was like and what I'm hoping is most of their feelings are towards. Well, I'm not even hoping that because, the decisions and stuff that the board members and that people in the district, the decisions they had to make weren't easy decisions. And then you got all these people protesting it, talking about they're going to run and get them kicked out because they have a large following of people who would vote for them because they would vote for this or I mean, you know what I'm saying? So those decisions are very, very hard decisions they had to make. And it doesn't come lightly because what you got to realize is if those board members would have said, okay, we going back to school regardless, I don't care. And then kids started getting sick. Let's say a kid dies. Let's say 2 kids die. Let's say because of we back in school, more parents and grandparents pass away. I don't know how anybody else would look at it, but if I was sitting on that board or someone who had to make that decision, I would feel like that death is on my hands, right? Because I chose to do this, and because I chose to do this, the trickle down effect happened, and the one thing we didn't want to happen, and for me, I just think differently. Like one life lost is a loss. You know what I'm saying?
There's too many.
Yeah, it's way too many. One life is way too many. Some people don't look at it like that. I've personally heard people talk when they talk about the coronavirus. Or just any type of like sickness, like, well, it's inevitable that we gotta die sometime, and we gotta die. We all die sometime. I mean, if it's my time to go, it's my time to go. I feel that, bro. But if you tell me, okay, we all gonna get burned at some point in time in my life, but don't touch that stove, I'm not gonna touch that stove, right? I'm gonna get burned accidentally walking into somebody's hot comb or something in the bathroom or something, right? On accident. I'm not going to purposely touch no stove. And I think that's the situation we're looking at here. Like we know this is real. Like we've seen how many people it has killed. And people, when you look at stuff like this, people like to compare it to other viruses or other this, and this. Man, the reality is we don't know. And the way it hit, and I think the more distant some things get, like people don't realize, like it was just last April, May, when it was videos, pictures of them not having enough room in morgues and stuff in New York, and they having to keep them in like trucks stuff. Yeah, like man, that's real. Like, come on, man. But but I think everyone just has a different perspective, man. And I'm not knocking anybody, you know what I'm saying? Because there's probably a lot of teachers that think one way and think the other way. You know what I'm saying? I don't really care about no political affiliation or anything like that. I wasn't never one of those people that believed that a political affiliation made this virus real or not. So I'm not really like caring anything about that. But I really think there's so much more to it that people kind of need to raise up off of it. And I hope parents did not take it personal against the teachers, because believe it or not, I can honestly speak for this, right? So the majority of the teachers I work with, if not all the teachers that I've heard, that I've actually had a conversation with, teaching online and virtually and planning for all that is a lot harder than actually being in person. 1, 2, I don't know if I don't know if most parents know this or not, but when we have your kids in our schools, in our classrooms, we develop a sense of relationship with your kids that like those little kids become basically like our kids, right? So we care for those kids. Most teachers, I can't speak for all teachers, but most teachers. So we care. We want to see your kids too. We love your kids. You know what I'm saying? We love and care about your kids. So it ain't like we just don't want to be in school and you think we at home just resting. Man, I probably worked so much and had so many like, mentally, from a mental standpoint, me having to plan and do a lot of the stuff I was doing and, collaborating with different teachers and trying to make schedules work and this and this. That was, man, it's so different. And for me, I'm still kind of dealing with it in this last week because, on my caseload, I have students that are still virtual and I have students coming into school. And even when all the grade levels are able to come into school, I have some kids who still opted to stay virtual. So it's so much more complex than what people think, man. It's so much more.
And before we wrap things up, let's get to a couple more of these comments. Deshaun, he says, I probably have had the most messages from parents this year showing appreciation for what we do and quote unquote handling their children. They have found out we're not really lying about their kids' behavior in school when it comes to not completing work and such. So I'm pretty sure, Jarvis, you probably got some parents, saying, hey, yeah, my kid probably is in your classroom messing up a little bit. But like I said, before we wrap this up, Chris DJ Day hinted on the kids slacking. Chrissy, you talked about, acclimating kids. Do you guys think that this virtual learning has affected the way these kids learn moving forward?
I do. Well, what's crazy is that when I went back to college, you can do it online. So to be honest with you, like that's the way things have turned as far as after high school. You can go to school online, get all your answers offline. Like things have turned differently. So I guess for elementary, middle school, high school, or whatever, I think it's a lot different. And I think they learn differently. Like you said, I think kids need structure. And some of these kids don't get it. Like you said, like the one person said, the parents ain't home, they slack off.
Yeah.
If somebody's not, and even as an adult, at work, if my team leads off the line, shoot, I might be, doing whatever. As soon as I see them, that's just human nature. You know what I mean?
They say when the cat's away, the mice will play.
So, I don't know. I think we just have to roll with it. But I guess my question with that, Q, is, has there been any talks of summer school?
That's a great question.
Okay.
Not that I know of.
Jarvis, have you ready? Or need to catch up, or?
Yeah. So to my understanding, and I don't want anyone out there to think that this is that this word is bond right now. So don't go to your school and say that Jarvis said. But to my understanding, the majority of schools are going to offer summer programs. So there go that daycare parent. Nah, I'm just playing. But you know, and I mean, and the reality is a lot of kids need it, right? You have a lot of kids, like Chrissy said, education, you know, outside of high school mainly, you know, well, not mainly, but you can go online if you want. You know, the biggest difference, like she said, it's different for, you know, elementary, middle, and high school because of the accountability piece, right? By that time, we're expected to be but you know, you've seen grown adults go to college, or well, not grown adults, but I guess young adults go to college and flunk out because now they have some independency, and they just flunk out. You've seen people who thought they could do online, but can't hold their own selves accountable and do it online, right?
Now, harder.
Yeah. And now just think about children who aren't mature enough to really handle responsibility and accountability really the way you want it, right? There's very few kids that you could just say, okay, this kid is gonna do what they had to do, right? But who said it? Chris or Deshaun, they were saying about the kids at home slacking off. Was that Deshaun?
That was Chris. That was Chris's comment.
Okay. So, you know, like Chrissy said, parents have to go to work. And some parents are faced with that decision of either I'm going to go to work or I'm going to get fired. So, you know, the kid might be at home doing virtual by themselves. And the reality is this kid might be a second grader. He might be a second grader that can barely, you know, that struggles. You know, because we think about technology now, right? And we think that like these kids can grab your iPhone or grab a like an iPad or a tablet or something and kind of go to work, right? But you give them a Chromebook and it's almost like, hold on, what a Chromebook? What do I, you know, what do I do on this?
Like a tube TV compared to a flat screen.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, it's man, there's so much dynamic behind it, man. And I can't, you know what I'm saying? It's hard for me to even judge that parent that has to make the decision of going to work, or, you know, do I stay at home, or do I try to trust my second grader enough, you know, maybe leave them a sandwich in the refrigerator, you know, some snacks or stuff to eat until I get home and just let them do what they do. You know what I'm saying?
What's the legal age to leave your kids at home by themselves?
I don't know.
I really don't even know.
That's
a great question.
12, 9, 12?
I wouldn't even say 12. I think that still might be quote unquote a little too young. I mean,
I know for sure it's got to be for sure 12. I didn't know if it was younger, but for sure you can leave your child at home at 12.
Man, we might need to do a part 2 about this, because I want to know and have some have some parents let us know for the younger kids that they have, how did they handle that with balancing work and making sure their first grader or kindergartner or second grader was able to stay at home and still do virtual learning. So some parents
are telling on themselves.
I would like to be able to have a parent on here that is for the kids going back to school. I would like to be able to have a parent on here to discuss that. No, we need to leave them at home because XYZ. And I would also like to have another educator on here.
Okay.
As well, just to give us, you know, a different dynamic of how they feel and be able to have some dialogue and go back and forth and bounce ideas off each other.
So that might be next week's show, with the school kids continuously going back to school. Parents, if you're on the fence or you elected not to let your kids go back to school, inbox us, or as you see Jarvis's name right there and Chrissy J's name down there, inbox one of them, say, hey, I would be interested in coming on the show. I decided to not let my kid go to school. I want to tell y'all my reasons why. For the parents out there who did elect to let their kids go to school, same thing applies. Inbox he said, she said, or Jarvis, or Chrissy J, and let us know your reason why. If you're an educator, where it's per educator, whatever the case may be, hit us up so we can get you on the show to pair up with Jarvis, because Jarvis don't know what the hell he talking about. So you know what I'm saying? To pair us up. But everybody who did tune in today, we appreciate you and thank you for tuning in. Everybody who shared the show, thank you very much. We appreciated that. If you want to see previous episodes, check out the YouTube channel, He Said, She Said Talk, where you can see a bevy of other shows. If you don't have time to sit down and watch a show, you can listen to us on all podcast streaming platforms like iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Play Store, and you can check out previous podcasts on there as well. Hold on.
Deshaun. Come through.
I was putting Deshaun's comments up. Deshaun said he'll come. So there's another educator right there that we can have come on the show. So we might have to reach out to you, Deshaun, about possibly coming on next week. Chrissy J, you got something you want to say to the people before we get out of here?
I do go and let Jarvis say something because I'm trying to pull something up so I can.
Okay. Jarvis.
Yeah, and if anybody knows any board members or something that wouldn't mind coming and talking about, why, some of the decisions they made and how they came to those decisions, that'd be great too. I appreciate you guys tuning in, man. We got a lot more topics outside of the school stuff too. So like Q said, man, go check Chris. Yep, come through. Yep, we all for it. But yeah, man, everybody come through, man, and go to the YouTube, the podcast, the Facebook lives. Y'all can go in the group or whatever and check out other episodes. And if anybody just has an idea that they want to bounce off with us and come on the show and talk about, like you said, go ahead and inbox one of us and we'll go ahead and get that set up, man, and have you guys come on the show and do a show on it, man. Outside of that, I'm good, man. Appreciate y'all.
I got something real quick on a lighter note. So I don't know if you guys are aware, but our boy Tank be in Lexington coming up, right?
Right.
So, talk to our peoples or whatever. So want to do a giveaway. So we're trying to figure out now what it's gonna be, and we'll do the giveaway on next Thursday show for a ticket. So right now I know regular tickets are 40, VIPs are 80, and he's gonna be here hosting the show with a Sting. He's gonna he's gonna host and perform. So listen, we're gonna figure it out. Make sure you stay logged on to He Said She Said this week, or my personal page on Facebook, or Nephew Q or Jarvis's or anything. And I don't know. We gotta come up with what contest we're gonna do to give his ticket away though.
Yeah. Okay. Chris DJ, he said Mike F April 10th in Louisville. Hey, we
get something for that too.
Hey, Chris, if you got a plug, man, hop in the inbox, man, and we'll let you come on the show and give it away yourself, man. How about that? So, but yeah, like Chrissy J said, tune in. Make sure you follow and watch the page because we'll be giving away a ticket for the Tank performance that'll be at Sting's nightclub. Even though I shouldn't be saying that because they need to pay us for that. That's free advertisement. But anyway, we getting ready to get on up out of here. Hold on, Chris DJ said
we better get the interview with Tank, so we good.
So Chris, he said hey Chris, if you can set that up to somehow we can we'll talk later. But anyways, we get ready to get on up out of here. Appreciate everybody tuning in. As always, we want you to treat somebody how you want somebody to treat your mama, and we out of here. Peace.